Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and in this episode 393. I'm joined on a very special Victory Tuesday morning by my co-host Stacy. That is at StacyPan89 on Twitter. Stacy, how are you doing?
Like you said, doing pretty special.
Yeah, hell of a win last night for the Knicks. They win 104-101, score 8 points in the last 30 seconds, erase a 5-point lead by scoring 8 points in the last 30 seconds. Just an all-around incredible game. A couple of pretty awesome victories for the Knicks, considering all the circumstances, and we'll talk about that and more. But before we get started, I do have to make a few announcements. First being that Strickland has an Instagram. Check that out. That is at the Strickland on Instagram. We're posting all kinds of new content on there. The Strickland also has a YouTube channel where you may be watching this podcast. If you are, if not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. Strickland also has merch, which you can find on our website at www.thestrick.land. There's a link up to the merchandise store, and there's all kinds of cool stuff on there. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it. We've even got a new merchandise line, the Nova York line. You can get Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart jerseys. You can get a Born to Play basketball shirt. You can get so many different things. Check it out. And the Strickland has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that'll get you access to Pod Strickland, the podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes From I Suppose is our newest podcast that is hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Blatter. And you get access to the Strickland Discord, where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, my solo pod where I rant trainer with the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Miranda, one of the best in the business. And now you get access to Strictly NFL, which, you guessed it, is our newest podcast that is hosted by Constantine Metricos, and it is about the NFL. The draft is coming up, so be on the lookout for that. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tier. There's comes with a variety of additional benefits like listening to pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this is possible without you. And none of this would be possible without Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get into the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Okay, so Knicks win a pretty dramatic. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think this is the most kind of dramatic, biggest shot, comeback, however you want to put it, ending to a game the Knicks have had since the Allen Houston shot, is probably since the Larry Johnson shot. But I do think it's like, I think the Allen Houston shot's still number one just because it literally won a series. But I put what happened yesterday above the LJ shot, and that's saying a lot because LJ shot kind of like resonates with me in different ways, probably because I was a kid. But that stretch of play yesterday was just unbelievable. The Garden was completely electric. I mean, throughout the game, you couldn't hear whistles. And every reporter and everybody that was there Breen even said it on the broadcast yesterday that the floor was literally shaking after that kind of sequence of DiVincenzo steal, DiVincenzo miss, iHeart rebound, kick out to OG swing to DiVincenzo on three. That was a special game, special performances by more than a few players. And, what else can you say? Isaiah Hartenstein and Dante DiVincenzo, those have kind of been the Knicks two of the Knicks key free agent additions over the last couple of years. And yeah, he's just been, both of them were incredible down the stretch throughout the game yesterday. Yeah, just an amazing win. What were your thoughts?
Is it crazy to say that's the biggest shot the Knicks have had since Larry Johnson?
Sorry, say that again.
Is it crazy to say this is the biggest shot in Knicks history since at least Larry Johnson? I think this might be bigger, to be honest.
I don't think so, because I literally just said that.
Yeah. I think it's I think I might even put it above that shot, although that shot made me a fan for life. I've felt the garden shaking once in my life. That was during Obi's alley oop to or the alley oop from Alec Burks. Still on the floor for this one. Maybe we just need Alec Burks in the garden um, for the garden to shake. I thought it was a gritty performance. Kurt from the Discord, when we were talking about college football, he was saying, you can't pick against Alabama until you have to see the stake go through their heart, right? And pretty graphic metaphor there. But I think the Knicks are turning into this team. We've seen them pull these kind of games. Was it Detroit? I think, yeah, it was Detroit where they had a similar scramble for the ball that led to the layup to win. This team just finds ways to win, and things have not gone well. The elephant in the room for the Knicks, of course, has been that I think Brunson is 16 for 65 combined in 2 games. Didn't have it yesterday again. And we can talk about, the Sixers deserve a lot of credit. I'm not going to take away from that, but to go up 2-0 in those circumstances is very impressive. And there were things that were different. To your point, I think DiVincenzo and Hartenstein didn't have their best games. Game 1, both were instrumental. I don't know how Hartenstein got that pass off at the end from the ground, somehow gets it to OG. OG makes a very quick decision. I thought even though he hasn't been particularly loud on the scoring sheet, I think OG has been quietly has made some big plays, had a huge 3 at the end of game 1. Had the free throws yesterday to clinch it. There's definitely going to be a lot of adjustments that the Knicks going to have to make. If you're a Philly fan, on the one hand, you probably don't feel great that they've won big chunks of the first 2 games and they don't have anything to show for it. But in terms of process, I do think that there are things that the Knicks need to adapt to. But tough not to be very excited, especially, I think a lot of people had given up at the end, down 5, and this team just showed again that you can never really count them out.
Yeah, I think that's important that they have been resilient. They continue to find ways to win games, and they've done it despite Brunson playing like crap. And some of it is they're playing good defense on him. I think they deserve credit. They're not letting him really get to his left. They're making life difficult for him in terms of contesting shots. They've been packing the paint. I also think some of it is on him. I think because of look, they're also allowed to be more handsy. I'm not upset about that because I just think I don't that's think what it is.
Rough whistle anything worse than the Sixers have gotten.
So. I mean, it's what it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can sit here and bitch about it, but that's what they're calling. So he has to deal with it. He has to adjust to that. I think because they've been allowed to get more handsy, and that's definitely helped them be able to restrict him from getting to his left where he really wants to get to, obviously. He is I think it's speeding him up. I think he's rushing things. I think it's impacting his decision making. And he's got to adjust. So
are there things you think Tibbs should be doing to kind of facilitate that a little bit more?
I mean, I think there are things Tibbs could do to facilitate it more. I would like to see him be used off ball more. And I think that would it be nice if maybe he played a few minutes without Josh Hart on the floor, who they're helping off of? Yeah, that might be nice. Maybe it helps him get going. I at some point, I just think you just have to Josh Hart is playing at a level right now where whether you agree or disagree with the choice of how much he's playing, that is essentially what it is. And Brunson has to adjust to that. That's the environment he's going to be playing in, and that's what it is. So I just want I think his decision making needs to be better primarily, more than anything else. Do I think again? Yeah, would it be nice if there were some minutes there without Hart? Maybe. I don't know. Hart's playing pretty well, so it's hard to say that for sure. And more importantly, is there the thing I think Tibbs could do is I think how he's using Hart. I would like to see him use more as a screener. I think he's just been kind of stuck out on the perimeter way too often. And that's allowing the Sixers to kind of easily play off of him. He also didn't, and this isn't really individually on him, but the Knicks didn't dominate the possession battle yesterday because of like amazing glass work either. I think they out rebounded the Sixers by 2 total, and both they had 12 offensive rebounds to the Sixers 10. So like it's not like, you know, how he was being deployed was allowing him to just create havoc on the offensive glass either. So I just think you got to get him more involved as a screener, be it on or off ball. And I think in general, I do think the Knicks tried to do a better job of this, and I think they did do a better job of this in the third quarter, especially of getting back to that motion offense, getting guys off the ball, getting Brunson off the ball, utilizing him in different ways. I thought that was a good departure. From like end of the second into the third quarter, that was probably the best stretch I've seen from the starters offensively this entire series. So that was good. Obviously, Brunson comes back in the game in the fourth, and it devolved into like this mismatch hunting and yeah.
Yeah, I think they are very reliant. I would like to see him used off ball as well, but then you're asking DiVincenzo or Hart or some of these other guys to create an environment where we haven't seen them really create. I mean, they're also struggling with the playoffs too. So in that sense, Brunson is taking on something out of necessity, the ball dominance there, and he's bearing the brunt, if you will, of that burden and the costs associated with it. Um, you know, I think some things I'd like to see. I don't think they set too many screens higher up. I think they were going to it more the kind of flat screen with Hart. I'd like to see that a little bit more. Closer to the half court to get him really a running start, get him some more space, and get him a little bit more time maybe to get into that pull up. And when I said more time, it could be a split second, but that can make the difference. But he just doesn't look comfortable even taking shots, routine shots, right? There was one that really stuck out to me. He beat his guy. I think it was Maxey, and I think he might have been worried about a rear view contest, but he has space for a midi, floater or whatever, but he's leaning in, and it's kind of a runner, and he's off balance, and it wasn't even close. It was short. That's just not what you typically see from him. But I think his attitude, his body language hasn't been discouraging. And I think it's worth noting, like Philadelphia is a good defensive team. Nurse is a good coach, and they've had good game plans for a while now. There was that disaster.
This is what Nick Nurse does. This is like his entire thing as a coach. Is he is focused on his belief defensively is shut down the head of the snake, and that will screw the entire offense. And it's weird. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say whether he's been right or wrong just because of how up and down these games have been. But yeah, I mean, this is what he does. He makes stars, like he gets stars to struggle. That's always been his thing. And I think Brunson's playing into that a little bit. I think he's taking the bait. He's ISOing because they're giving him any mismatch he wants. But the problem is Embiid's just standing at the rim. So yeah, he can get a mismatch, but he can't really he can't threaten the rim. Can't really threaten all the way to the rim anyway. And the defenders know that. So they're able to get back into the plays wherever you contest, kind of stick on his hip as a result. So it's tough for him, but he's got to definitely figure it out and he's got to be better. He's also just missed some shots that you would bet on him to make over a longer sample.
Yeah, for sure. And it's worth noting that it is a double-edged sword a little bit, the philosophy, right? From Nurse. The Knicks had, I think, what was it, 20? Did they have 20 offensive rebounds in game one? They had 12 last night, which is not overwhelming, but they are 11 of 33, so they didn't have a bad shooting night. They probably just hit that Mendoza line. You'd probably like them to shoot a little bit better. But in game one, they had 16 of 36. So there is a trade-off in that philosophy. And they're compensating for that on the glass. Josh Hart was incredible, 21 and 15, went the distance. What more can you say about him? And you have to give, that is kind of the test of what Nurse is doing, right? He's betting, I will let Josh Hart beat me. I'll let OG Anunoby beat me. I'll let DiVincenzo beat me. And, credit, I mean, DiVincenzo, 19 points. Everyone in the starting lineup had double figures. And besides Brunson, they were reasonably efficient. OG didn't have a great game either, but the other guys are able to beat you. Hartenstein had some big has started to get a little bit more comfortable with that mid-range little push floater, whatever you want to call it. So it's the other guys have stepped up and they have punished Nurse. I think Nurse is probably right to bet that 4 games out of 7 is a tough task for that, but you have to give them a lot of credit. And this is why we signed all these guys. So going forward, I think that there's probably ways to get Brunson a little more space. It seems to be almost an inverse problem of last year. Last year, the Knicks realized that if you bring Allen to the level of the screen, Brunson just couldn't get any space. But screening with guards, even if Allen was at the rim, Brunson's pull-up game, nobody could really affect him. Not even Kuro really, in terms of pull-ups with a screen from another guard. So now you have kind of the opposite problem where the 76ers, their guards, even Maxey, Hield had some good contests. They are doing a good job contesting those pull-ups, and now you have a guy back at the rim. I don't know if you put Embiid in more screens. I don't know if you set them higher up. If he's doing a pretty good job on defense. But I'm interested to see those adjustments going forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think any of that stuff is going to work against the Sixers. Guard screens aren't going to do anything. The major
I'm just saying, put Embiid in it, but set it closer to half court.
But he's not going to come up. This is if Josh Hart's playing, he's not going to come up. They're just going to switch that. That's what they've been doing the entire series. So, I can sit here and be like, oh my God, he should play some minutes without Josh Hart. It is what it is. Josh Hart's going to play, and quite honestly,
he needs to.
Do I think he needs to play 48 minutes? No, but he has to play a lot, and the majority of those minutes are going to be with Brunson because they're starters. So, what we're talking about is almost irrelevant. Brunson has to figure it out. He has to figure it out within the context that exists right now. And yes, I think we need to do a better job of moving off the ball. All the guys like Hart, DiVincenzo, iHeart, OG, they've got to be better at moving off the ball, making themselves available, cutting. We need to be better about, all the stuff we were doing to end the season. Utilizing iHeart as a hub higher up the floor. Brunson pitches it to him, then he runs around. We've got to do a better job of all those things that we were doing. And there were signs of that yesterday. But down the stretch, they just reverted to the ISO mismatch, pick and roll, all that type of stuff with Brunson. And that's fine if he has it going, but he doesn't have it going right now. So devolving into that was just, it was pretty frustrating to watch. And honestly, they're very fortunate it didn't cost them the game. It should have cost them the game, for being honest. Should have cost them the game, but it didn't. So, obviously that's great, but you've got to, he has to figure it out. Again, Tibbs can do other things and other guys have to, make themselves more active and all this stuff can be true, but 90% of this is on Jalen Brunson. He has to make shots and he's missing a lot of shots that we know he can make. He looks flustered. He looks rushed. His decision-making has not been consistent. The one thing I did like about his game yesterday is he did not turn the ball over much. I think he had 2 turnovers maybe, considering how much he was handling the ball. I'll take that. 7 assists, 2 turnovers, whatever the hell it was. But he needs to – he's definitely got to get back into rhythm. And it's good. He's got 2 days off here in between games, or 3 days off, I guess you can call it. So that's great, but it's got to make it count now. And we'll see if he does it or not. But the Knicks are obviously in a good position, though. They're up 2-0, even though he's played absolute garbage. And, that's honestly the saving grace for him is he's not he's very lucky today, this morning. The game ended the way it did because
he paid millions of dollars to play basketball. So
that too, but he's very fortunate because he was playing himself into being the only topic of conversation today as far as
bringing Becky Zeman out of the woodwork, maybe.
Yeah, but he was putting himself in line for justifiable criticism for the Knicks dropping a game that they had. I'm not going to say they had to put it away, but they had a pretty solid lead. They had an 8-point lead at one point in the fourth quarter. He clearly struggled throughout the end of that game. That's part of being a great team is guys bail each other out and they got plays. And to his credit, he stuck with it. He got the bounce. He got the bounce on that 3-pointer at the end of the fourth quarter. And And I will also say, I think his defense has been good in this series. I think he has rebounded pretty well. And his playmaking, like, he's got to tap into that more because I think that's where he can really hurt the Sixers with the way they're covering him. That also requires his teammates to move and all those type of things too. So it's not just him, but he is the head of the snake. He is the leader of the team. And it's ultimately on him more than anybody else to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, 29 shots, even on some of his best games, he wasn't taking 29 shots, right? So that distribution probably needs to change a little bit. I think you're absolutely right. Like, you have to be feeling pretty fortunate to be up 2-0. Are you worried about Jalen Brunson? And I mean, you have to, for all the people who said, the 1A conversation and all of that, this is what they were talking about a little bit, right? In terms of the length Philadelphia can throw and, his ability to adapt to it. Are you worried at all
About what?
about Jalen Brunson and whether he can adapt given kind of the challenging situation, not just in this series, but how they've played Philadelphia all season?
No, I'm not really worried about it at all. He's either going to do it or he's not. I mean, there's nothing for me to worry about. So
Very Zen-like of you, swear. Sure.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing for me to worry about. He's either going to do it or he's not. What the fuck can I do about it? But no, I'm not particularly worried about it because I mean, look, I'm just gonna, like, I get pretty fucking annoyed during a lot of our, during games in our like live chat in the Discord or even on, on Twitter and stuff. And it's like every single time this team faces some adversity, people have a fucking meltdown. And it's like at some point when you keep being proven wrong, maybe just shut the fuck up. Maybe shut the fuck up and have some faith. And in the case of Jalen Brunson, I don't know what he has done. Like, I'm sorry that he had 2 bad playoff games. Like bad playoff games, flat out. There's no question. They're bad playoff games. I'm sorry that I'm not ready to freak out and, like, oh my God, like it's only fair we criticize him. Like, oh, wow, dude, that's awesome. You're so fair. Like, who gives a fuck about that stuff? Like, I have faith in him to turn it around. And I don't really I don't really know what criticism I need to have beyond like, yep, he's got to shoot better from the field. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't, he's got to make better decisions. Like, yeah, that's what it is. I get that. I don't think anybody's denying that. It's fair to say it. But like beyond that, I don't know what there is to worry about. Why should I be worried about that? Like, he's proven over and over and over and over and over again. Every single time, people are like, "Oh, well, this is what he is," and well, no, that's what he is. And, actually, no, this is what he is. He can't do anything more. Every single time that level gets placed on him, he figures it out. I don't see any particular reason why he can't figure this out. I do think that yes, Philly having a bunch of long defenders, it's definitely affecting him. But I think the bigger part is he's got to he has to adapt to what they are doing. And to me, he doesn't. It's not that he lacks the skill or craft or shot making to make those adjustments. He just hasn't done it yet. And I think he's forcing it. I think because he got off to a slow start, he's kind of trying to shoot himself into a rhythm, and he's not letting the game come to him. To me, this feels a lot more like none of this to me is a skill issue or a physical issue or anything. To me, this is like mental. This is about him kind of recentering himself and getting back to equilibrium, playing with a level of serenity, I guess if you want to call it. But he's definitely rushing. I think he's forcing stuff. I think he's feeling a little bit of pressure because he kind of knows that a lot is expected of him right now. And look, the Garden crowd is definitely, it's amped up, and I think that emotion can affect players for sure. So there's a combination of stuff, and obviously what Philly is doing defensively, they deserve credit as well. Like, we're not playing against fucking traffic cones out there. This is not the Atlanta Hawks or something. So, am I concerned? No, I'm not concerned. Like, again, to me, nothing that is happening right now is, to me, this is not a thing where I'm like, I have no idea how he can combat this. I have ideas of how he can combat this. I have ideas of how he can play better. He has the tools to do it. So does the team. The team obviously has the tools to help him. So he either will or he won't. Personally, I would keep betting on he will, because every time people bet against him, he seems to prove them wrong. And just like this team continues to do the same. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say. I was thinking about this. Well, and it's fair. It's worth noting. He didn't start off the. I think his game 1 against Cleveland wasn't good. Game 2 was awful, right?
yeah,
And then he started off the Miami series with a really bad game 1 as well.
yeah, he shot well in game 1 against Miami, but his decision making was atrocious.
And he claimed that himself. He owned that. And I think for the better part of game 2, he struggled too. And then he came alive in the 4th, and obviously when he went back to Miami, he was inferno. So we've seen him struggle with this before. We've seen him have bad games in regular season, and he bounces back. And I think I was thinking back to the last time we were in a playoff series where a team really struggled a team really flustered the Knicks star player was that Atlanta series, right? And I think it felt pretty. I'm not trying to knock Randall or anything, but it felt pretty early on like this was just. There were just some, to your point, unsolvable problems there, given Julius's game and his strengths and weaknesses. And this doesn't feel like that. It does feel like Brunson's missing a lot of shots he normally hits. He hasn't really turned the ball over much. I think that's a good sign. And it has created opportunities for other players. And I think they just, to your point, they need to tap into that a little bit more. And it's different guys been stepping up. I think that's another good sign. In game 1, McBride was the hero. Yesterday didn't have it really going. They had a couple of nice takes late, and it was good to see him adapt when his shot wasn't falling, and they were guarding him a little bit more tightly. But and Hartenstein had a great game. Mitch was very quiet, but so you have other guys that can step up, and I think that's a big difference from last year and from the previous year as well. And then when you add Brunson to that, it's a pretty scary team, and the defense I think has been really good. Embiid is obviously limited, but outside of Embiid and Maxey, they've kind of shut down what was thought to be a pretty good supporting cast. Oubre's been very quiet. That was a guy a lot of people thought before this series could cause some problems. Harris has not had it going. As much as every time he hits a shot, it bothers me. Lowry still only had 8 points, so they had a pretty good game 1. And Batum, who's the X factor from the play-in, hasn't really done much damage as well. So they've done a good job besides Max. And by the way, I will say this: Maxey has been flat out amazing. The one thing, Leon Rose has been incredible, but if somehow he could have paired Maxey and quickly, that would have been awesome in that draft. But other than that, they've shut off the water from the Sixers, and they've outplayed them on the glass. They've outplayed them. In terms of role players, and that's what's winning. The Knicks' depth is winning out over the two guys on Philly playing like all-stars, even though ours isn't. So, that's what this team is a little bit like a Hydra. You cut off one head. It's Hydra, right? Not Medusa, Hydra. You cut off one head, and others pop up, and that's it's been very encouraging to see for the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, even Maxey, I think he hit his first 3 threes, and then I believe he went 2 of 9 or 2 of 8.
Yeah, I mean, he had 35 and 10 or 34 and 10. So like he's been phenomenal the first 2 games. So
yeah, I'm not that impressed by him, to be completely honest. Like, I think he's been good, but I think all of it is Embiid. All of it.
That speed is not Embiid. That is just
it's all Embiid. He does not get to the rim unless Embiid is on the floor. Doesn't matter how fast he is. The Knicks are absolutely sitting on that. They'll if Embiid is off the floor, they're getting blitzed. It doesn't matter if Maxey's on or not. Like, I'm not that impressed by what he's done. I think he's good, but he's exactly what I think he is. He is like East Coast Jamal Murray. That guy is an awesome 2. He's a great 2, phenomenal 2. That's not like a knock on him, but it's Embiid. Like, Embiid is opening up the floor for him. He has to make those shots. He has to capitalize on those opportunities, but that's what he's doing. So he deserves a ton of credit for that. But like, I'm not watching these. I haven't watched either of these games and come away being like, man, Maxey is just totally dominating this game. I've not thought that at all because I don't think he is controlling a game like that. This series is all about Embiid and it's about Brunson. And for the Knicks have been able to. Yesterday, I think they kind of like held water in the Brunson non-minutes, and in game one, obviously, yeah, whatever. And then in game one, they just like, blitzed. I mean, they destroyed Philly in the non-Brunson minutes for whatever reason. I mean, that was a random.
There was Mitch too. That was a lot of
Mitch.
Right?
There was a lot of Mitch. There was a lot of Deuce. It was just a very odd game. But yeah, Maxey's really good. I'm not trying to like take that away from him, but I just don't feel any differently about him after these last two games as I did coming in. I think, and like I don't know, man. He had 10 assists yesterday. Do you remember any of these amazing dimes that he was throwing?
No,
I don't.
But he does draw a lot of attention, and I don't think there's really anyone who's been able to stay with him besides McBride.
I mean, I agree with that, but I think that's only because he's on the floor with Embiid, and he keeps running these pick and rolls, these dribble handles with Embiid, and because one, I think Embiid's a really good screen setter. He's really smart about how he does it. And two, like he actually has gravity as a shooter. So, they're basically like, well, we're not going to let you get to the rim. He can throw these kind of like swing back passes to Embiid in the pocket. And Embiid's getting a lot of like, easy shots that way. That's kind of like the primary way I think he's been feasting these two games. That's good that he can do that. And honestly, I was watching that game yesterday and I was like, man, I know iHeart's really good, but it would be really nice to have a center who could just open up the floor like that for Brunson at times. But like, I don't know. I saw he had 10 assists at the end of the game yesterday, and I was like, that's crazy because I don't remember fucking any of those. Like, like he had 2 assists in the first game, and that made sense to me because I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. I don't remember you really diming up anybody. I don't know how the fuck he got 10 assists last night. I got to go like look at these later because I don't remember. Like if they were there must have been just like a bunch of swing passes to the top with Embiid or whatever it was. I know there was one out of a timeout where I think him and Embiid had like a dribble pitch for an Embiid 3 over Mitch. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to come across as like I'm not impressed by Tyrese Maxey, but I'm not. My evaluation of him has not really changed after these last two games. I think he is exactly what I think he is. He's a really good scoring guard who has an awesome skill set to play off of a big like Embiid. But I think he still really struggles when it's his show and he's calling it and nobody else on the floor with him to create advantages for him. That's where I think he's really, struggling. And again, like, that's not saying like it's not some unnatural thing. We're seeing with Brunson right now. If you ever wanted kind of something on show to demonstrate why, yeah, look, Julius, we know his playoff history and all that type of stuff. We know that his decision making can be hit or miss. Maybe we can't run all the motion stuff that we have ran this season when he's on the floor, but you can see that pretty obviously if he was on the floor, Brunson he would not be facing the consistent focus that he is right now. And like to me, that's kind of like where I was watching the game yesterday, these first two games in general, where I'm like, so much of this is Brunson, but so much of this is also just the fact that he doesn't have anybody else who can create. So when he is going through a rough patch, he can't even get off the ball. He can't be like, oh, well, it's not my night. Let me give it to X. Like, what's he going to do? Give the ball to Josh Hart? I know Josh Hart's been awesome. The recipe for success is definitely not upping Josh Hart's usage more than it has been in the last couple of games. The recipe for success is not asking, Isaiah Hartenstein to start posting Embiid up and running offense that way. The recipe for success is not asking Dante DiVincenzo to run a bunch of, play point and run a bunch of pick and rolls or something. The recipe for success, like all these things, I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to quote myself from the article I wrote last Friday, but like, all right, Josh Hart, Don DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein, all have contributed to the Knicks' success, but all enjoy the luxury of playing within the contours of their natural games. Even if those boundaries have been pushed, they've been allowed to stay true to what they're best suited for because of Brunson. And that is kind of why I get the criticism of his play the first 2 games. I also just think it's way overboard. Like, or at least I've seen people go way overboard with it. Like, oh, he's choker, he's not a good playoff player, or whatever the fuck it is. I've seen way too much of that. And like, look, man, he went, whatever was it, 8 of 29 yesterday. I think he went 7 of 24 in the first game. He's obviously not playing well, shooting well. And I get that. But if he doesn't take that usage, you're going to see an awful lot of like other guys, other of these dudes trying to create and having to play way beyond. Brunson probably is too. I mean, he's definitely exceeded that at this point. But like, that's what we need from him in this moment in time. He obviously needs to be better if we hope to make the type of run that we're hoping to make. So we'll see what he does. But like, I don't think you can just, I mean, and I don't know, maybe people are, I don't know if they are or not saying this, but like, you have to somewhat live with the kind of ugly shooting games, because I think it does allow for the other guys to play more naturally within what they can and are able to do. And you know, look, at the end of the day, I'd rather he fucking unload the clip and go 8 of 29 than do whatever the fuck it was Tyrese Halliburton was doing on Sunday.
What is it? Who is it? Dion Waiters is like, I'd rather go 0 for 38 than 0 for 9.
It's true though. I mean, yeah. To me, I mean, look, Dion Waiters is his own thing. He's just not like a star, so that mindset for him is fucked. But your star needs to have that mindset. Like, yeah, obviously you need to also look to play make for others, and I do think Brunson can do a bit more of that. But you've got to be willing to unload the clip and keep shooting and take those lumps. And like, you know, again, I'd much rather you went 8 of 29 than 4 of 7. Like,
you got to keep those shooting numbers up.
Yeah, what is 4 or 7 is doing? I mean, you watch that Pacers game, and all of a sudden, because Halliburton refused to shoot, you're having other guys have to create and do things that they are not capable of doing. I don't know that, like, I can't say for sure, obviously, that Brunson is going to, shoot the ball better or whatnot. But
these other guys are having success and playing off of what he's doing.
And more than that, like, you need to accept that, like, you know, what he's doing is, yeah, it's paramount to like what other guys are able to do, but it's also just the nature of like what we expect of him, and you need him to like make shots at a higher clip. Obviously, he either will or he won't. But I'm not gonna get on him for taking the shots, like not the volume of shots. I'll get on him for this shot could be better. Didn't like this one.
Or you could have passed a little bit more.
Rushed this one.
Probably he should.
Yeah, rush this one. He could have passed this one here. Like, I get all that. But when I look at it in totality, like, yeah, man, he's going to have to take a lot of shots. And we're going to have to live and die with that to some extent. Just like any other team and any other coach lives and dies by their best player playing well. And, you know, I think criticizing, like putting the lion's share of blame on Tibbs' usage of him, or offensive concepts that we're running through 2 games, or Josh Hart's existence on the floor. Like, I think those are all misguided. Yes, those might be their factors potentially, but a lot of this is just about him making shots, and there's nothing anybody can do to help him. Like, even if you think, oh my God, Josh Hart on the floor is killing our spacing so much, it is nuking his numbers, there's no argument to be made that, if Josh Hart's off the floor, I'm supposed to believe that he all of a sudden would have gone like 18 and 29 yesterday. Like, that doesn't make sense either. Like, it's not one factor, it's multiple things. But he's got to control the things he can control, which he's an incredible shot maker. We've seen this now over 2 full years. We've seen it in the playoffs last year. Like, we know what he's capable of. He either will do it, he will make the adjustments how they're covering him, how much physicality is being allowed, or he won't. And then we'll just have to deal with that when that happens. But until this series is over, until, you know, it doesn't happen, I'm going to believe that Jalen Brunson will figure it out, because that's what he has done over the course of not just his time with the Knicks, but throughout his entire career as a basketball player.
Yeah, do or do not. There is no try. No, I mean, I think that's well put. I will just to go back to the Maxey thing. So you're definitely right. They've been a lot worse in limited minutes, of course, with Maxey on and Embiid off. So if I look at just the games they played in the regular, so when Embiid was healthy, it was actually the opposite. They were together a plus 11.76. With Maxey on and Embiid off in those games, they had a plus 18 net rating, including a blistering 130.25 offensive rating. But if you do all the games, which includes the games which Embiid was hurt and Maxey had to start more, the Maxey minutes they had a 0.38 net rating for the whole season, right? And a lot of that probably, if you look at just the games Embiid was hurt, is going to be a lot lower. So to your point, when I think a big difference from the regular season when both were healthy is they're facing a really good bench unit. The Knicks have really good players. They're playing starters, right? So there is always a elite rim protector in the game when the Knicks are playing. Off the bench, they have probably in this series at least their best point of attack defender in Deuce McBride. Oh, yeah, actually, for this series, I might say that Deuce is a better matchup for for Maxey than OG. But yeah, I think that obviously with Embiid, he's a lot more effective. But I think you got to give the Knicks bench some credit. And I think he's also, I will say though, I do think he's not an ideal matchup for the Knicks starters, who are very solid. I think they're solid against bigger, more physical players. Like DiVincenzo is the one that comes to mind. They're very good team defenders, but an OG can guard most of those physical big guards as well. But when it comes to a super quick guy like Maxey, I do think that's a particularly bad matchup for the starters. So I think that from that standpoint, in game one, for me, I would have probably liked to see even more a little bit of Deuce. But Hart is just doing, meaning he's just doing incredible things. And if you're going to talk about what he compromises on spacing, you have to. I think that's something, looking back at the Miami series. The one thing we don't probably give Miami enough credit for is how well, especially guys like Love, held up on the defensive glass.
Well, I mean, again, I think Philly did a pretty decent job yesterday, actually, on the defensive glass.
Yeah, I mean, game one they got pulverized, right? But I'm saying, like, we talk about the Hart minutes from last year and why they were so frustrating. One, he was paired with RJ, who's also not a great shooter. This year, they don't have anyone besides Hart that isn't a shooter that gets minutes and the centers, right? Yeah. So that becomes a lot less problematic, and you don't need. I think the idea that you need 4 shooters. Would it help if Hart was a slightly better playmaker and you could utilize Brunson off ball more? Sure. But the other thing is, like, last year with Hart being in, what the Knicks would hope and what worked really well against Cleveland is being able to compensate for some of the spacing issues by attacking the offensive glass. They couldn't do that against Miami last year. I thought Mitch and Hartenstein would overwhelm Kevin Love. That just didn't happen. And credit him. He's been a great defensive rebounder his whole career. And that is something that, while it wasn't as big a gap yesterday, I think it was like 12 offensive rebounds to 10. The Knicks had some timely boards. The Knicks were able to compensate for some of the spacing issues, and Hart is right in the middle of that. Had, a huge rebound yesterday, late. And fights and takes advantage of, and frankly, that is tied into Brunson as well, because they are sending so much attention at Brunson. You leave Hart up open at the 3-point line, well, he's got a free runway, and he takes advantage of that.
Yeah, the problem is that Embiid is just standing at the rim, so they're not really like.
Yeah, but if he's helping out on a Brunson floater, right?
Yeah, but he's in the lane.
You're still drawing. I mean, that's the whole Kobe assist thing too, right? You're drawing. He has to contest and then go back. That's what I think is so impressive about Hartenstein and Mitch, is that they can do both. It's tough to be a great defensive rebounder and contest, especially Embiid kind of hobbled a little bit, right? So my point is, I think that you have to acknowledge what Hart is capitalizing on, even if the spacing isn't there, and the fact that I think somebody else said this. It's not as big a concern when, besides the center, the other 3 guys are great shooters. So it's not like leaving one guy open. You can't really leave 2 like they were last year with RJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not as much of an issue. But I mean, it functions similarly. Like it's you have 3 guys in the paint, so it's what it is. But again, like I don't. Brunson has to play better. I don't really think there's any 2 ways about it. And you know, if people want to be concerned, whatever, that's fine. I don't really care. Knicks are up 2-0 and he's played like shit. I will bet money that I would bet the odds are heavily in favor of him not just continuing to shoot like shit this entire series. It just nature of the beast. You're gonna probably, even if you're some generational choke artist, you're probably gonna have a good shooting game at some point over a 6 or 7 game sample. Hopefully, it's just a 4 game sample. We'll see how that goes. We haven't even talked about this, the end of game sequence, but what did you take from the whole? Look, there was a lot of complaining and whining out of Philly after the game yesterday. Tyrese Maxey was held. Nick Nurse tried to call a timeout. What did you make of all that? Do you think they had a point, or because I personally I didn't really see it that way, but I'm curious to get your thoughts.
I don't think there is anything outside of the norm of how these games have been officiated, right? They pulled Maxey's jersey. That's happening all game. A jersey pull here and there. Maxey also pushed off to get open, which if they called an offensive foul on Maxey when he pushed hard, clearly, that would have been equally egregious, right? I think you said this before. We cannot bitch about Brunson because I think the officiating has been fairly consistent. Has it been consistently good? I don't know, but it's been consistent on both ends. Have Embiid and Lowry gotten away with semantics? Yes. Have the Knicks gotten away with semantics? Absolutely. As far as the timeout thing, it's really hard to put that on the ref. It's a pretty bang play. The ball was flying around. Maybe there's a split second where Maxey has the ball and they're calling timeout. I think that to complain about that is it seems like a team that is very frustrated. It's an unfortunate way to lose. Look, I'm not gonna. If I was the Knicks, I would be very disheartened. It's an unfortunate way they deserve to win that game. You even said it earlier. And they probably feel like they could be up 2-0. That wouldn't be a crazy thing. They played really well for large stretches of they went up 9-0 yesterday. They built a big lead in game 1. And so I get it. I would be very frustrated. That's what it seems like. And I get fans who want to talk about that. What I would be worried about if I was a fan is if they are actually filing a complaint for games 1 and 2. If Morey is doing that, if Nurse has now twice made it a point to talk about the officiating, that does not. We saw the same thing with Bickerstaff last year. I don't think that bodes well for a team's mindset. It is. This is the playoffs. This is the nature of the beast, and frankly, for such a veteran coach who's impressed me in many ways and what he's done in this series, a guy who's won a title before, it's kind of disappointing to see from Nurse, even as an opposing fan. It's disappointing to see from Morey. It's not like
why are you disappointed seeing it from Morey? This is what he does. He never takes accountability.
Built the PowerPoint with Harden.
Frankly, he never takes account. This is his entire. This is why all of his teams have loser fucking energy. This is why they've never won shit, and this is why they never will win shit because they have no accountability to themselves. It's never them. It's never his fault. It's never. Oh yeah, we fucked up. No. Oh, we're gonna audit the fucking refs. Thanks, H&R Block. Like
audit the Fed.
he's a joke. I'm sorry. Like I think this entire thing is ridiculous. And yeah, what Nick Nurse said is, I think it's crazy. You watch the replay. He clearly does not call a timeout the initial for. He's thinking about it, but then he doesn't because Maxey gets the ball. He's like, all right, we're good. Then he tries to call it when Maxey's already on the fucking ground, like, fighting for his life for the possession of the ball. They're not going to give you a timeout then. And it's ridiculous to be mad. Well, the ref didn't give me, when I first pump faked the timeout, the ref didn't give me that. So then it's like the boy who cried wolf. Yeah, bro, I saw you. You didn't want to call the timeout. Now you want me to give you the timeout? And there's a loose ball there. So I'm probably looking at the loose ball and not staring at you down the line. Like, I'm sorry. That there's no accountability. It's never been the Sixers' fault. And this is why everybody in the fucking organization gets a pass for everything. Oh, no. Daryl Morey, he's just unlucky. His teams are just unlucky. What are you, the fucking unluckiest guy in the world? You just can't, like, oh my God, I built these perfect teams, but we can never win shit. There's never any accountability there. What has the guy done? He went to Philly, what, 3 years ago? And what? He achieved as much as Elton Brand as a GM.
Did he draft Maxey?
Congrats. You drafted Maxey. You also traded away the rest of your fucking assets for James Harden. And then, but at least they got Nick Batum. Wow. Amazing.
Well, he
Let's
wanted
go
to
fucking jerk off Daryl Morey for that.
He had a good relationship with Harden. Keyword had, right?
Yeah, he had a great relationship with Harden, and then he fucked it. Which, I don't know. Last time I checked, that seems like a pretty bad job by a GM in a people person industry. There's just never any accountability with this guy. When he was at the Rockets, they never lost games. No. We were historically disadvantaged by the refs. The refs, they're not giving us calls. James Harden, like, he's just, what can he do? What more can he do? Like, there's never, oh, yeah, no, that was me. Or, hey, we've got to be better. There's never any of that from this fucking guy. And it seeps down into the rest of his organizations. James Harden, has that guy ever held himself accountable for fucking jack shit? No. None. Never happened. In fact, when Chris Paul came in and was like apparently trying to like hold him accountable, just basically call him out on stuff, and same with Russell Westbrook, that became a problem. So like his inability, his kind of like coddling of talent and players under him, and the excuse making that he enables is such a shitty example of leadership. It's why he's never won shit. It's why I hope he never wins shit. And it's why this Sixers team is probably not going to win shit again. And they're probably going to go out in round one. So, I think Joel Embiid's, look, I'll say this. I have a lot more respect for Joel Embiid as a player now after having watched these first two games of the series. Just because I think when you're playing against an opponent, you have a clear eye on things, especially in a playoff series, right? You see them over and over again.
Well, he called out Nurse a little bit, right? He said, I was telling Nurse to stop bitching about the fouls, and I think he said something similar to that effect earlier in the season. So,
well, yeah, it's ironic that he would say that because he was bitching about fouls the entire time yesterday. So, I will say, like, I genuinely have a lot more respect watching him over the last couple of games. Look, the foul baiting stuff with him is pretty annoying. He's an incredible shot maker, though, and it's very obvious he's playing through. I mean, he does not look good. Like, he is. I don't know. His post game yesterday was like he's like holding his head, and he doesn't want to look into the light or something because his eye is fucked up. I don't know what the hell he's going through, but salute to him for playing through whatever the hell it is. But yeah, Daryl Morey is a joke, man. That I can't believe they're filing, and it's like they're filing a grievance, but it's not like they're not contesting the game, so they're just letting the league know, like, hey, bro, you've disadvantaged us more than other teams, and it's like I don't really know what he's expecting to come of this, honestly. Like,
sometimes he goes about in pity for himself, and all the great while a great wind carries him across the sky.
Yeah, and I don't really know what he's trying to achieve with this. Like, after our experience contesting a game and some of the suspect officiating we got after that, I kind of think this is a mistake. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe he's wise to do it, and because there'll be a spotlight on this now, the officials will be motivated to give them a better whistle. But the Knicks can't worry about that. The Knicks can't take the loser's way out, the coward's way out, like the Sixers are, where, no, we didn't lose, actually. It was the refs. You lost. You lost because you couldn't defensive rebound, and then Tyrese Maxey couldn't hold on to the ball, and then Nick Nurse fucking had a mental brain fart, couldn't call a timeout. Then he couldn't draw up a good fucking inbounds play. Twice, I guess you could call it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch that end of the game sequence and think, wow, horrible officiating. I watch the end of the game sequence and think, wow, what an incredible play by Isaiah Hartenstein, who nobody fucking boxed out. The Knicks had one of the best offensive rebounders on the floor in a must-have-it situation. And not a single fucking soul on that team thought, let me put a body on him. Let me box this guy out. No. They stood around and watched this guy fly through the fucking lane like Free Willy, grab the rebound, and toss it to Anunoby. And then, they're all just standing in the paint. By the time Anunoby swings it to DiVincenzo, finally Batum, he gets his fucking 39-year-old body turned and at least tries to go contest, but they just stood around watching for like 5-10 seconds, like the most important sequence of the game, just standing there watching. I'm sorry. Like, I have no pity for them. I have absolutely none. The officiating yesterday was fine. The Knicks actually only shot one more free throw yesterday because OG got intentionally fouled at the end of the game. Before that, the Sixers had taken 22 free throws to the Knicks 21. In game one, the Knicks took 28 free throws to the Sixers 22. If your takeaway from these two games as the fucking Sixers is that we are being disadvantaged and completely destroyed by the refs, you're a fucking idiot. You're so fucking stupid that you probably should just not donate your brain to science, because nobody needs to study the level of stupid you are. Like, it is unbelievable to watch these two games and come away thinking, oh my God, the Sixers are getting hosed. But when you don't want to take accountability for anything you do, and when you don't want to when you want to coddle the talent under you and coddle your best players and your coaches and whatever, that's fine. That's what happens. So, they can go fucking feel sorry for themselves for the next 3 days and cry and bitch and moan about the refs and, oh my God, how could this happen to us? Well, I don't know, man. You guys have a fucking real knack for losing to the first good team you play every fucking year in the playoffs. So I don't know why this is that surprising to you. You think they'd be used to it by now.
Well, we were the easier team, so.
Yeah, well, hey, you get what you deserve.
When you have friends like Bridget von Hammersmark, you get what you pay for. Yeah, I think to your point, and I mean, you alluded to this. That's what I was saying. I would be disappointed if I was a Sixers fan because that is not the mindset you want to put in this team. I think so. I was going to ask you about this, and I'm curious if you want to elaborate on it as well. But I have also developed more respect for Embiid after the series. To play it like whatever you want to say about him, you can't question his toughness, right? The guy flops, yes. But I think I was saying this before the series. I think the guy has caught some unfair flack in the past. When your co-star is a guy like Ben Simmons, it's tough to put all of the failures on him. But it'll be a test of his leadership ability if Philadelphia can come back, and that is something where the reviews maybe are not as great, but I think he's generally had a pretty solid attitude for his career. The guy has been committed to winning. I think he has that championship mindset, but he's going to have to raise his teammates up. Lowry's going to have to be a voice in that locker room too, because right now, if this is your focus, if you're focused on the calls you're not getting, that's not great. That's not how you come back. And you can totally say, well, Tibbs was just complaining about Brunson not getting calls, right? I think there's a difference between spirited kind of advocacy, or as you mentioned, kind of a specific call that they contested the game. There was that whole he's getting fouled. One, I think it kind of worked. So it did start getting more calls after that. But two, I don't think you ever got a sense that it infected the team with an excuse making, right? I don't think even after that Houston game, Brunson was like, it was a great call. Next question, right? Maybe in their minds they feel like they're getting a raw whistle, but it's never seemed to infect them with they always say we need to play better. We need to control what we can control. And these kind of antics from the front office and Nurse does not speak to that kind of mentality. Now, Nick Nurse has won a championship, so I have no doubt that he will get his guys prepared. But I think it's going to be a test. If you see Embiid really pick his team up, that will be another encouraging thing for a guy who really, this is the only question mark he's had in his career is, can you do it? Can you go all the way? And they're facing the kind of adversity which I think he needs. Let me ask you this, kind of on a related note to Embiid. We've obviously talked about the Knicks potentially having interest in him. Has your kind of attitude, I think your attitude, I think it has changed just because of how great Brunson has been, that you kind of have to make a big move. But specifically with Embiid, has your attitude towards him as kind of an MVP level player, despite maybe not the most playoff success, has that changed a little bit over this series or, recently, given what he's playing through, given how he's played against, I think, two really good centers too? I'm curious your thoughts there.
No, he's always hurt. Like, he's literally, there's always something going on with this guy. I don't trust him at all. I have zero interest. I have absolutely no interest in trading for Joel Embiid. Nope, not me. Not me. I've seen this story before. Like,
You would rather trade for like Donovan Mitchell or
I would just I would rather do nothing. I'd rather do nothing than trade for Joel Embiid. I'm being dead ass. Like, I'm being completely honest. I'd rather do nothing than trade for Joel Embiid. He is. There's always something going on with him. Always, 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 always. He can never just be healthy for a playoff series. He has not been healthy for a fucking the final playoff series of the season since the fucking bubble. Literally since the bubble. He's the next year torn meniscus. He plays through that against Atlanta. The year after that, he breaks his fucking face and had a torn ligament or thumb or a ligament in his finger or thumb against the Heat. Then last year, right, he has some type of knee. He has a severe knee sprain. This year, fucking meniscus, and then it looks like his eyes, like he can't blink or something. I don't know what the hell is going on with that. He's not looking at the light during post-game interviews, which, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know what he's going through, but like, no, I'm sorry. Like, this is, and he's what, 7? They list him at 7'2", 280. The guy's like 300 pounds or something. He's a monster. These guys are not the ones that you want to bet on, dude. Like, going into their 30s, already has an insane. His injury catalog is significant, and he is, he's now turned 30. He's entering his 30s. Like, I'm just not really interested in betting on that.
Durability, I think, but durability is your main concern. Outside of that, as a player, or because I think you also raised the concerns about his playoff success, about kind of his mentality and all of that, right? Have some of those concerns been alleviated?
I would say not really. Like, end of the day, he has been bad in the second halves of both games. Like, and I mean, me and Tyrese kind of argued about this on the post game last night, but like, it's like the Brunson thing. Do I think that Brunson played bad? Right? Yes. But I still think on aggregate, especially in yesterday's game, you needed him on the floor because you just needed what he gives you and what that opens up for other players and how that it makes life easier for other players. Embiid did not have a good second half, but even with that, you have to have him on the floor, and he provides a positive impact because of all the things he impacts, right? The guy just stands at the rim, and teams are like, yep, we're not going down there. Like, he's not even moving. He's just standing at the rim. His screen setting, his dribble handoff stuff, he just draws so much attention, and he creates so much space for their guards and wings and whatever to get downhill. Like, just by being on the floor, he makes them better. But I still don't believe in his production consistently in big moments. And then you watch the defensive rebounding stuff. I don't know, man. Like, he just doesn't move. Like, he that rebound yesterday that Hartenstein got, Embiid is just standing there. He's not he goes to box out Josh Hart, who somebody already had boxed out. It's just very weird, and he's never been a good defensive rebounder, which worries me. His teams are not. I don't think he's had a top 10 defensive rebound percentage for his team season. I don't think his team's ever finished top 10 defensive rebound percentage. I don't know why the hell I said it in the dumbest way possible. But yeah, I'm just really not interested in the Joel Embiid experience. Truly, I'm not interested in going through with that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think the durability, rules out. I think a lot of, that's the major thing, right? Part of the appeal of trading for a guy like Mitchell is he's 26, 27 still. Which are the kind of guys the Knicks have targeted. So it's unfortunate because I do think the guy is, when he came out of college, wasn't maybe talked about as the way Wemby's being talked about, but he was. I mean, he's getting Hakeem Olajuwon comps, right? And when he's been on, he's really I think Jokic was the more deserving MVP player last year, but that's not to say that Embiid also wasn't very deserving in his own right. So it's kind of it's sad to see because when the guy is on, a 3-level scorer who moves like a guard, to your point, sized like like Shaquille O'Neal. He's a tantalizing talent, but it's always been kind of a what if with the durability. Some of it are just freak injuries too, like breaking his face and stuff. But it is what it is. So yeah. Any so getting back to kind of the uh, the ref stuff, or kind of the complaints. On that note, I think a lot of fans noted after game one, a lot of Sixers fans that the Knicks shot well over 40% from three. Hart hit some shots that you don't normally expect him to hit. And on the Knicks side, we obviously didn't expect Brunson to continue to shoot as poorly. What are you kind of looking for in game three? Besides, obviously, we've talked about it a million times, Brunson shooting better, but anything you expect to change that maybe has happened the first two games? Anything you expect to see differently that you haven't? What are you kind of looking for and looking at the next as we go back to Philly?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, like, I don't think the Sixers will change anything. Like, their defensive game plan is working. They clearly are just going to keep playing the percentages with Hart, which I think is actually the right move. Hart has to. He'd have if he hits another 4 threes on Thursday, then maybe all right. Then maybe you gotta really reconsider it. But like I think they're doing the right thing by playing the percentages. He went 4 or 5 to start the game in the first half, and then he went 0 for 3 in the second half. Like that kind of speaks to play the math out, right? So I don't think there's really anything for them to adjust. It's on the Knicks to force them to make some adjustment, like to adapt to what they're doing, to then force their hand, because that like there's if you're the Sixers, why would I change anything about what I've been doing on defense? That's not why we're losing the game. So I think if you're the Knicks, though, the biggest adjustments there would be two things. Offensively, I don't really want to touch on it much more, but like I think one, Josh Hart does not need to play 48 minutes. Like I'm very happy he can. I thought you could see by the end of the game yesterday, the back half of the fourth quarter, he really was gassed. That 3-pointer he took with like a minute and a half left was super flat. Never had any chance of going in. I was happy he shot it though, because he was wide open. So for him to just take that shot with confidence, I'm happy he did that. But it was just super flat. And I think I think he can just get him like a couple minutes rest in each half. That's between Dante, OG, Boyan, and Deuce. Like you have enough that he can get a couple minutes rest each half. And yes, in that time, would I like to see Brunson in a lineup with just like 3 other shooters next to him plus a center? Yeah, I would like to see that. That'd be one adjustment in terms of just lineups. And then, obviously we talked about the off-ball stuff. I don't really want to belabor the point much more than that. It's a very specific thing I would like to do. I would love to have Josh Hart come up as the primary ball screener and then use iHart as an off-ball screener for a shooter. I would like to see how they defend that if Embiid's just going to still stick at the rim, because theoretically then the Knicks should be able to get a quality perimeter look. They'd have a numbers advantage out there. So we'll see. That would be just 2 specific things I'd like. The off-ball stuff we talked about. And then defensively, you mentioned Deuce. I do think this is a Deuce series. I think this is a really good series for Deuce. And I think in particular, it's a good series for Deuce because if he's on the floor with OG when Maxey is on, he can amplify what OG is able to do because he can defend Maxey at the point of attack. And OG can then play as a roamer off of Tobias Harris, off of Kelly Oubre, off of whoever. But like that, those are the things, those 3 things, the 2 offensive and this one with OG, with Deuce. Those would be my 2 biggest adjustments. And honestly, even in general, I think it's time to put DiVincenzo on Maxey, at least try that, and have OG start off the ball, because I do think that you're not getting the most out of OG using him in the way that we have as a primary defender on Maxey. That's not what he is great at, to me, chasing these type of guards. So those would just be the adjustments I would like to see. But if you're going to be fair to the point that you've made, the Knicks have held Philly to 104 and 101 points. So, assuming that what it's you. I could assume that my adjustments will be better, but I'm sure that there's some logic to like what Tibbs is doing with OG. Personally, it just feels like his impact is being a bit muted, um, despite how well kind of like
How impactful we've seen him be.
yeah. Like, I mean, look, and it's worth saying. Yesterday, the Philly had 110.2 offensive rating. In game one, they had a 119.1 offensive rating. So the defense did improve from the first game to yesterday's game. But I do think there's scope for more. And Tibbs did say in his post game, he's like, yeah, the defense can be better. So I don't know if that was just, a lot of that stuff can just be coach speak, but I do agree with him that, like, as well as I thought the defense held up yesterday, I do think there's more scope for that to improve. Like, they're like you said, OG, we've seen him be more impactful. I think part of, I don't want to say lack of impact because that implies he's just been a bum, but like, not to the degree we've seen. The reason for that is impact being muted a bit. Is I definitely, in my opinion, down to like him not getting the opportunity to kind of roam and create chaos, and have to be a more disciplined on-ball defender on Maxey, which I think is just a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, kind of on that note, I think going into the playoffs, and especially after last year, as great as Tibbs has been this year coaching, I think that's always been something of a question, right? In the playoffs, we saw him out coach Bickerstaff. We saw him probably not give the Knicks as great a chance as they could have had against Spoelstra. It's only 2 games. You kind of touched on this, but so far, do you think he's matched up? Do you think he's been outcoached by Nurse? Do you think he's coached better? What are your thoughts on Tibbs? Has anything changed, or is it kind of still TBD in terms of how you view him as a playoff coach?
Sorry, so I mean, it's 2 games. It's too soon to tell. I was very encouraged by what I saw in game 1. I'm not gonna say I was less encouraged by yesterday, but yesterday did seem a bit more stubborn. But it was a weird game, so I haven't rewatched it in full yet. I need to do that.
You got to do it 3 times to make any kind of meaningful
Yes,
adjustments.
that's true. Yeah, I don't. It's too soon for me to make any significant assessment of that, but I did like what I saw in game 1. I liked a bit of what I saw yesterday. I kind of thought he pulled the plug in the fourth quarter on that Deuce lineup at point a little too early. It felt like they had some momentum going, but it's also nitpicking in my opinion. It's nitpicking to be like, oh my God, like he brought in Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's not like that's a crazy decision or something. So I would say I'm happy so far with what I've seen, but I don't feel like I have enough to say one way or the other. I'm definitely encouraged. I mean, he did a couple things yesterday that I was surprised by. I mean, throughout the series, 1, he's just gone to this 8-man rotation, right? There's no Precious anymore. And then 2, I thought Bojan was done for the game yesterday. Like, because he didn't come in to start the fourth quarter, and he didn't play well in the first half. So I was like, all right, he's just, he just pulled the plug on that today. That's fine, okay. I mean, if you're going to say adapt to the game, like, it's not a crazy thing to adapt to, correct? To be like, all right, he just doesn't have it today, whatever. But to go back to him, give him that kind of like, show him a little bit of trust. I thought that was huge, and Bojan rewarded him, right? He hits 2 huge threes. Yeah.
I think he's evolved all year long, and I think that's one reason to be encouraged going forward. Where after last year, you might have been a little discouraged. We all might have been a little bit discouraged by what he gives you as a coach, but I think he's adapted well. I don't know that Hart needs to play 48 minutes, but I'm not just because it's 48 minutes, not that Hart wasn't pretty awesome. And I think, you have to say, I think the energy, the intangibles are pretty important as well. He's clearly a leader on the team, well-liked guy. Clearly pretty mentally tough guy because I think you were saying this yesterday, right? He wasn't very good for really until the fourth quarter of game one. And then since then he's been really good. And he's been shooting the ball with confidence. I think that's the biggest change I've seen from Hart, where, if you're going to miss, you're going to miss, right? But if you're, the pump fake and then just 2 dribbles and kill, whatever advantage we have, that can't happen. And if you're going to drive on those, you got to be decisive. And I think you've seen a much better version of that from him. I thought he had some great takes too. He's done a good job attacking the rim, which we need even with Embiid there. But yeah, I mean, I think I thought, frankly, we can talk about Brunson maybe getting screwed out of first team All NBA. I think the fact that Tibbs wasn't even one of the top 3 was a joke, actually. I mean, Daniel deserves it. Missoula obviously had a historically good regular season team, but with all of the adversity that Knicks dealt with, we've given Brunson has rightfully gotten a lot of credit, but Tibbs has navigated an ever-changing sea of players with injuries and trades. And like people just, I mean, that's the part you hate, right? People are reductive and just say, well, he just plays his guys more minutes. It's like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. And I could guarantee you, it's like there were no coaches out there who are going to say, all right, well, we have all these injuries. I guess I'm going to put in. There isn't a coach out there that was putting in Jacob Toppin for 8 minutes because the Knicks had injuries, right? Or if you think that that's the thing that he should have done, more power to you, buddy. That you weren't getting to the playoffs. That wasn't. Did he dial it up a tad much more? Not nearly outside the norm. And frankly, like, you saw Hart yesterday go to bat for him. When that stupid survey came out, I have to bet that most of those players who are saying, who do you not want to play with, and saying Tibbs, there's a lot of narratives about him that frankly just don't seem to be coming to fruition. Like, he has this narrative because I guess he has like a mean mug, so people think he's like some insane hard ass. All coaches are like that. This is the NBA. This is not third grade health class or whatever. What?
CYO ball.
CYO ball. No, I was thinking of like a school teacher, but yeah, like of course he's tough, but you listen to guys like Dante will say like it's kind of a myth that like they just don't rest and they just practice all the time. And I think you're starting to see that, like, and there's probably all across the league. I'm sure there's coaches that have false narratives about them. But I did think he was snubbed, and we've talked a lot about Brunson potentially getting snubbed for first team All NBA. But it's worth noting, like, there weren't 4 coaches better than Tibbs. There weren't 3 coaches that did a better job than Tibbs this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a great job. I think he deserved top 3 coach, whatever. He also won 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So I just think with the way this stuff works, it's really hard. When you win, you kind of like are removed from consideration for a while.
Like the lifetime achievement type of thing.
Yeah, it just takes a while to win a couple. I think Spoelstra's never won Coach of the Year, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a narrative based award, and it's based on so many different things that, like, it is what it is. To go back to the game, because we did talk obviously about the sequences, but I did really want to highlight how good I thought Hartenstein and DiVincenzo were. DiVincenzo obviously hits the threes, the 3 at the end, and I think he was 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. I had to check the box score for the game, but he was much more aggressive offensively. He was much more aggressive and physical defensively. I thought he made a bunch of really good plays on defense. He had that one where he knocked it off of Oubre's leg that went out of bounds for a turnover. He had a block, came over on help, and was able to successfully block or at least contest Embiid's kind of like layup attempt. Really impressive play. And then the one that stood out, which was incredible, was that play he made off the jump ball. I think it was Hartenstein and Embiid. Embiid tips into the backcourt, and like DiVincenzo must have read it before Embiid even wins the tip. He must have like kind of saw, okay, shit, he's going to win it. And he is able to basically get to the ball. He cuts it off before it gets to Oubre or whoever it was, and then just takes it for a dunk. Like, or he got, I think, did he get fouled on that? I think he got fouled. So whatever, he made the free throws. Either way, like that was just such an incredibly intuitive play. And then even on the final game, the end sequence, like he's the one that comes up with that loose ball after Brunson gets it knocked loose. Then he drives. He's able to create the opening for Brunson to get the three. And then obviously cashes in the three to win the game. I thought he was awesome yesterday, and it was such a great bounce back game for him after a brutal game one where he was pretty easily the Knicks' worst player. But he was tremendous yesterday, and I thought, again, the physicality he played with defensively, it's almost like he kind of figured out, okay, well, they're just letting us kind of get real fucking physical. Like, let me take advantage of that. So that was good to see. And then, again, and his general activity on defense, I thought yesterday was phenomenal. I don't know what else you can really say. The guy had 14 points in the second half. I really loved the way he was competing with Embiid. I think you could tell that like he was not backing down. I think Embiid was definitely trying to kind of bully him, and which he should do, and kind of is part of basketball. And Hartenstein just stood up. Like he just stood up for it, and he came up huge. This is offensive rebounding. Felt like everything in that fourth quarter. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at the box score here, and I guess he had 4 offensive rebounds, but it felt like he had fucking 10 in the fourth quarter. He was just unbelievable. His effort level, his energy. I don't know. I couldn't say much more about him than I am. I thought he was tremendous yesterday. He played with so much fucking heart. No pun intended. And he was just so gritty. I mean, that play at the end too, like the rebound is one thing, obviously an amazing play. To get the ball to OG before he like insane. Completely loses balance. Like I had no idea how he got that off. Unbelievable play by him. I mean, and then the block, I mean, that's like again, this sequence from Hartenstein and from DiVincenzo is crazy. Like they both had these insane sequences of the game, but then Hartenstein, he like the last 2 defensive possessions for the Knicks. Just watch him. He's so good. He completely baited Maxey into that drive. He wanted Maxey to take that drive. That's exactly what he wanted to do. He read that the whole way. He had the angle on it, blocks it off the backboard. OG gets a rebound. He gets fouled. They send him to the line. And then the final sequence, and I get it. Like, I don't know. We can talk about this after. I don't know where you stand on foul, don't foul when you're up 3. But if you're not going to foul, the way the Knicks had that play covered was absolutely beautiful. Hartenstein's calling out the coverage as Maxey's bringing the ball up. He just takes the middle. They basically split the court into thirds. It's like Hart on the left. I think it might have been Deuce on the right, and then Hartenstein right in the middle. But he's able to, I mean, not that Maxey's going to drive there, but he is able to defend him up high enough and make him uncomfortable enough that he wasn't able to just walk into a 3, right, or dribble into a step back comfortably. He had to give
do that without fouling too, right?
Yep. And then he has to give it up to Embiid. Embiid has to force up some bullshit. I genuinely don't even know if Embiid got that shot off. It felt like he took forever to shoot it.
He does have like that wind up, right? That's why his pump fake is so good. It's like it's such a methodical, slow release. Where I sit on the foul up 3 thing is I get the logic, and generally I would say it's a good strategic move. Selfishly, I just think games are way too long to end. And it's very nerve-wracking when your team keeps going up down 2, up 1, and then you have to take more free throws. And then so you're up 1 now. It's like, okay, we fouled, but they still have a second. We've seen the Knicks lose a lot of heartbreaking games like that. So I'm not disappointed in not fouling up 3. It forces you. I mean, there are some free throw shooters on the Knicks. Hart has been awesome this year, but historically isn't the greatest free throw shooter. Are you going to take Hartenstein? Hartenstein's a decent free throw shooter, but not a great one. So the Knicks have some really good free throw shooters. They also have some not great ones. So if you're going to rely on, all right, well, we foul them and then we're going to get the ball back and going to have to hit free throws. I don't want to take Hartenstein out of the game. I don't want to take Josh Hart out of the game. So, and yeah, he's been a good free throw shooter this year, but you're still leaving it to chance a little bit there. And then the last thing is the Knicks are not the best team at inbounding. DiVincenzo was incredible last night. He's been incredible all year. One thing I've never been super enthused by is Dante DiVincenzo as an inbounder. So with all of those things considered, you play good defense. You play straight up. They have to take a three. I had no problem with the Knicks doing that. I didn't have to watch any more commercials, so that was nice. And I think Hartenstein I don't think he's a guy who the national media, the national audience still isn't very comfortable with. They had that famous Stephen A clip where he basically outed himself as like, you don't watch the Knicks, bro, when he mispronounced Hartenstein's name and talked about him like he's a scrub. And that's frankly something I found tasteful from Stephen A for a long time, just mocking players' names like Slava Medvedenko or like
he's got that thing.
He's just so stupid, especially with European players. It's like, dude, have you watched the guy play? Clearly you hadn't, right? And before the series, people were like, "Oh, Embiid, I haven't even heard of this guy Hartenstein," right? It reminds me a little bit of Jakob Poeltl. They're different games, but as a guy who was a little bit not well known because he didn't have the star credentials at the center position. But I think the national audience is starting to realize he's playing the starter minutes. He didn't play well game one. He was fantastic yesterday. Went toe-to-toe with Embiid. And game one, when he doesn't have it going, we have another guy. And kind of, I'll throw this back at you. Given how awesome Mitch was and how awesome Hartenstein was today, and given maybe this is just the matchup where 48 minutes of rim protection when you're playing against, if you don't want to use the word generational, a really, really good center. Maybe this is a unique series in that situation. Maybe we'll get another series like that in the finals. Has your stance at all, and Precious is out of the rotation, has your stance evolved at all in terms of, you're paying 30, let's assume Hartenstein gets somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $18 million. Has your stance evolved at all in saying maybe you just ride with both of them, considering they're both so valuable, Mitch and Hartenstein?
I'm open to changing my mind about anything. I mean, the playoffs are the time to have your mind changed. So yeah, sure. I'm definitely open to the idea that we'd be better off keeping both or whatever. Like not opposed to any of that. But I also think watching these games, like, again, we just talked about it with Brunson. He's having to do so much offensively, and there's no, when he's struggling to create, maybe a little sped up or whatever the fuck is going on. There's nobody that can take that burden off of him for a little bit right now. So obviously we hope Randall is back next year, or, we assume he'll be back next year. That will help, but it sucks that we didn't get the opportunity to see him in the playoffs. And then because we don't get to see him in the playoffs, we don't have that information to inform us in terms of our team building. So there's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, again, I'm open to anything. Like, I'm open to, we talked about Caruso versus Deuce McBride last week. And like, I'm open to walking away from this playoffs being like, yeah, actually, no, Deuce is better, or Deuce has enough upside where it doesn't make sense to pay the transaction cost that you would need to get Caruso just to upgrade on Deuce. Like, I'm open to all kinds of conclusions to be drawn. It's just too early to say anything definitively. But I will say, what we've been able to do against Joel Embiid, and considering that we're not really helping on him that much. Like, they doubled him a few times yesterday. They definitely sent help a little more frequently than they did in game one. But we're pretty much asking our guys to defend him on an island. And the fact that obviously we saw Mitch in game one, I thought that was the best playoff performance of his career. And then yesterday, Hartenstein in game two, they've both been able to kind of step up when the other hasn't had their best game. And that's ultimately what you need. So, like, if that is what the Knicks choose to do, and if that's what is optimal after this season, they're much worse. Philly, for how long have they been looking for a backup center for Embiid? They've been doing that forever. And I will
Paul Reed.
Yeah, what about B-ball Paul? I will say some of that I think is just like this is like the Jokic thing, right? Where it's like, oh my God, why couldn't Hartenstein work as a backup center there? It's like, dude, because when you have a center that's that dominant and that you built your entire team around, when they're off the floor, guess what? You can't just plug in a center and run the same offense. It's drastically different. So I always think that's part of the problem too. And I don't think it's just like, oh, they're incompetent at finding backup centers or something. But yeah, like the Knicks are they're in a really advantageous position at that center spot because hopefully I still like I know Hartenstein played great yesterday and he's got eyeballs on him, but I feel like there's a real connection with him and this team and the guys on this team and the organization. I think he'll be back, and I think the Knicks will just give him top dollar as far as what they can offer. Yeah, I mean, if you can come back and you just have Mitch and Hartenstein, and then let's say you bring back Precious on a cheap deal, like, I mean, that's kind of like a luxury room of centers. Like that's the best center room in the league that doesn't contain a star. You know what I mean? The only other comparable one would probably be Minnesota with like Gobert and Naz Reid. But
what about Cleveland?
No.
Oh, wait, that's right. Because Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are stars, so that's why.
Yeah, yeah. And Evan Mobley's a power forward anyway. But yeah, no, like it's just to me that the Knicks would be they're in such a great position where it's like if that is ultimately the choice, it's really hard to knock them for that. You know what I mean? Like I think last year we talked about maybe they should go get Porzingis. But I always felt like, look, I that would make sense to me, but I also can totally understand just being like, well, Hartenstein and Mitch are actually really good. We don't need to like go spend a shit ton of money at the center spot. So I got why, I mean, who knows how serious they even had a conversation about it, but to not go get him to me isn't like a crime because of the position the Knicks are in. So yeah, I mean, am I open to keeping that after this season? Yeah, sure. And look, if you're in a conference with Joel Embiid, and that's a guy that you have to consider, and not just Embiid, right? Giannis as well. These are guys you have to kind of consider when you're planning out.
Maybe Wemby soon enough.
Well, not in our conference anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely value in just having guys like Mitch and Hartenstein as your two centers and just living with and living in that world. So yeah, I'd be fine with that.
I did want to ask, moving for a bit away from the Knicks. So the Lakers had an epic meltdown, and LeBron had some thoughts. I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest. Why the fuck do we have a replay center? Makes no sense to me. It bothers me. I don't know if you watched that game or have thoughts on LeBron's comments, but that is pretty funny. Especially, I mean, 2 games it seemed like. And I think the Lakers had a lot to hurt themselves, but curious to your thoughts on that one if you watched.
Sorry, at the end of the Nuggets game?
Yeah.
I did. What thoughts did you want me to give? Sorry, I missed that.
Just thoughts on kind of pretty epic meltdown from the Lakers. They had 20-point lead, and also LeBron after the game. Just
okay, yeah. LeBron after the game, just shut the fuck up. Shut up. Like, and if you want to make your point, make your point. Don't fucking bring our bullshit in with yours. All right, that was so weak, and honestly, it's pathetic to see from him. You know what it is? Don't get mad that Nikola Jokic is doing to you what you used to do to the Toronto Raptors. Okay? Don't be mad about that. That's your shit. Deal with that. You haven't beaten them in 2 fucking years. Okay? Like, you blew a 20-point lead yesterday. You missed a shot at the end to put your team up 3. Like, a wide open 3.
Well, they had that weird Rui Hachimura miss dunk, and then he held the rim, which messed up Anthony Davis's putback. Like, they choked all around. It was awful.
Yeah, and I understand. I think Darvin Ham he's certainly a coach. I can say that. I'm not sure he's a very good one. I'm looking at their minutes. This is their minutes from yesterday, which is I genuinely can't believe this. The minutes in this game yesterday: Davis 39, Hachimura 38, LeBron 38, D'Lo 39, Austin Reeves 33. Played Dorian Prince 22. Dinwiddie got 10. Vincent played 15 for some reason. He was terrible. 0 for 2, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 1 turnover, -6. Dinwiddie, 10 minutes, no points, 2 steals, 1 assist, no rebounds, 1 turnover, -9. Like, they got nothing from their bench, and for some reason he played Reeves 33 minutes. I mean, Tibbs would never. Tibbs would have just been like, Austin, you're playing 48 tonight. But yeah, Darvin Ham definitely does things. But yeah, they choked. I mean, they choked. They lost a game. D'Angelo Russell went 7-11 from 3 yesterday. They lost that game. LeBron James went for 26, 12, and 8 on 19 shots with only 2 turnovers. You know, turnovers are often LeBron's bugaboo. He was good yesterday. You lose that game. Anthony Davis, 14 of 19, 32 points. At one point, he was like 13 of 14 for 30 points in this game. 32 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. You know, like, you lose a game like this. It's brutal, man. It's brutal. I mean, and even Murray, I know he got to go in late, but he's 9 of 24 for 20 points. You know, like, he's had 2 rough shooting games. The first game he shot, I think he shot 9 of 24 in that game too. You know, like, you lose games like this, it's tough. It is really tough. Nikola Jokic, amazing, by the way. 27 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. This guy is just an unbelievable player. One of the great playoff players also. Just absolutely raises his game to another level in the postseason. He's unbelievable. Yeah, they choked this game. They pissed it away. Maybe not choked is maybe the wrong word, but they definitely had their opportunities to put it away, and they didn't. And, like, it's the same thing with the Sixers. You know, like, you can always find things that went against you in a game that weren't under your control. But I promise you, there are always things in your control in a game that you did not do. And, you know, this idea the officiating was so bad in this game is pretty laughable to me with the Lakers. They took 13 free throws. The Nuggets took 17. The Nuggets took 6 free throws in the first game, and they won by, 11? Like, I don't want to hear about the officiating, man. I don't want to hear about it. Like, it is and especially for the Lakers, they've had like a historic free throw discrepancy going back the last 2 regular seasons. I genuinely do not want to hear about your gripes with officiating if you're the Lakers. But yeah, just Denver is just they're phenomenal, man. They're amazing at what they do. They just create good shots in endgame crunch time situations consistently. They will always get good shots there in ways that other teams can't. And that is like, I mean, I don't remember who said this, so I don't want to try to take credit for it, but I saw somebody say this, but it's like, that is their superpower. Their superpower is that at the end of games, in a half-court possession, they will always get a quality look, and you won't.
I think that was Matt Moore or Hardwood.
Unfortunate, heartbreaking, worst person, you know. But like, that is their superpower. They always get good shots, and and Jamal Murray's a phenomenal end of game shot maker. He really is. I mean, that shot over Anthony Davis, both of them really, but he made one on LeBron, but the game winner over Davis. I mean, that's a crazy shot. It's a really, really tough shot. Anthony Davis played that as well as he could. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Lakers, honestly, even more than the Sixers, like, I really don't know how you bounce back from this game, because and I think it's easier when you're actually playing, right, to bounce back, because it's like you're geared in a different way. But as a fan, if I was a Lakers fan, I'd be sick. I'd be like, are you kidding? Like, every single game they play against the Nuggets is the same. It is the same thing over and over and over again. The Lakers get up, they have a lead, it's a tight game, whatever, and then at the end, the Nuggets just pull away and they make enough shots and they come through in crunch time and beat them. And it's like, I mean, how many times have they gotten fucking gamed now by Morey and Jokic? How many times has it been in the last 2 years? It's just, I've never seen anything like this. The only thing I can compare to this is, like, you know, there was like a few years, I mean, probably still is ongoing. I didn't keep track of their season series this year, but like, it's been a few years, right, where like the Celtics just owned the Sixers. It was just like constant, right? They just always owned them. But this is on a totally different level, because it's LeBron. Like, and LeBron's playing well. AD's playing well. Like, these are great players, and they just can't beat the Nuggets because Jokic and Murray owned them.
Well, it's also somebody drew a parallel after game 1, actually, where, you know, the Lakers had a lead there, ended up losing by double digits. Somebody said that after game 1, and LeBron was hooping in that game 1 especially.
He fucked up at the end though. His fourth quarter was pretty bad, but yeah, his first 3 quarters were good.
But they said, the discouragement or just the, what it reminds, it's reminiscent of game one. I think it was the first year, right? It was the first year with KD when they played the Warriors. It's the J.R. Smith play, right? Where it really felt like the Cavs were going to win that game. They lose in overtime, and then they just he got swept. And it really felt like to go. I mean, I wonder if it's a little bit like, in some ways, like the Philadelphia series, where the Lakers have outplayed the Nuggets for large stretches, but they just haven't made the big plays. And I think psychologically, it's tough to come back from even as a player. And I don't think it's beyond the pale to say that at all. Look at going back to the '90s, right? The Magic completely fell apart when after Nick Anderson misses 4 free throws, right? That they really controlled that game one for the vast majority of it. Then they get swept. So despite having, again, also a generational player, too, arguably, at least one, and Penny was pretty fucking good himself. So I think that in both series, I don't know. I think the Nuggets also are just, when someone can repeatedly generate good shots, and then they can attack the offensive glass. That is,
and they're also good shot makers. It's not like they're just they're like, some of these shots are not good shots for the average player, but they're good for Jokic and for Murray. I mean, who the hell knows what a good shot is for Jokic? By the way, it just
yeah. Someone asked this, and my answer, I of course was going to say OG because he's looked like it. Someone asked if Aaron Gordon is the best role player in the NBA. It's actually, if you look at Darko, it's funny. They're like neck and neck. Like OG has the smallest edge over him. But I mean, do you think that's a fair? I think he has an argument, right? Aaron Gordon's been awesome for them. That's been an underrated part of what's made them great, aside from the Hurricks, Jokic.
Wait, you think OG is not as good as Aaron Gordon, or you think
I think OG is better, but I'm a little bit biased, and it is really close, I think. And I think it's fair to there's an argument for Aaron Gordon, is what I'm saying, as the best role player in the NBA. Somebody asked that on Twitter, so that's why I was. I think it was Haney. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it also benefits Aaron Gordon. Like, last time we saw Aaron Gordon in the playoffs without Jamal Murray healthy, he was terrible and people were shitting on his life. I think it helps that he has both of them, because if he doesn't, like, OG obviously offense, like, he's not a creator. We knew this going in. So when you take Randall off the floor, you're putting a lot, like, he can't step up and just take more usage. You know what I mean? Like, Chris Middleton, when he was at his best, could do that, right? Oh, Giannis isn't playing.
Him a role player, though? I guess maybe, like, if you're a creator, by definition, you're not really a role player, right?
Yeah, I think OG is definitely more of a role player. He's an elite role player. He's a role player. Like, he's not. You can't be like, oh man, Randall's out, we need you to dial it up to like 23, 24, 25 usage. It's not what he does. It's not. You don't want him doing that again. Like, I have no problem with him not doing it, but that should tell us something about what he is as a player, and hopefully it extends into what he ends up getting paid. Because as awesome as he is, if I can't, and I don't expect you to be able to dial up usage when guys go down, then that has to be reflected in what I pay you. Like, I can't pay you fucking max dollar superstar money if that's what you're going to do. He's obviously very good, obviously very impactful. I'm happy to have him. I think the Knicks have clearly benefited from that trade. But
he amplifies your star. I think that's
the
biggest thing, right?
Yeah. But I do think that without Randall, especially, I think you're seeing some of the limitations of what we can do offensively.
And OG doesn't.
And because I think, and I do think people are forgetting like how good we were when Randall was healthy, and more specifically, like, not only were we really good, but I felt like OG had his best offensive games during that stretch as well. So, and honestly, even defensively, right? Like, I mean, he's still been good since he came back, but the level he was playing at in January was ridiculous on defense. I don't think he hasn't hit that level since. So, and I'm not saying that's because Randall isn't playing. I'm just saying it's interesting to note.
Well, I mean, look at what we did to this very same team, right? When we had OG and Randall, and not to say that a regular season game is representative, But yeah, I mean, clearly they haven't reached quite that same level. And I think it's also like with the Randall stuff, it's fair, by the way, to just say I mean, I'm not saying, not accusing you of this, but like, you have like kind of the take thing, like, see, I was right about this. Like, I believed in Deuce's shooting, but I'm not going to go back and pull up people who didn't, right? Because yeah, like it was a debate at the time, and it turned out he shot well, right? And the people who believed in Randall, it's okay to just say, you don't have to like be like, well, he's good. He's gotten a lot better from his first year. From last year, he's gotten better. So I think that it's definitely worth noting. The Knicks have looked. That's the stupidest part of this whole conversation, is you kind of brought up a lot of people have saying, oh, like, do they not need? They don't need Randall. They're better without Randall. I don't think a lot of Knicks fans are saying it. You're hearing it from national voices, and frankly, it's stupid. Like, it's okay to admit that Randall is better.
I talked about this when I went on with Troll Bro on his pod, and he asked me about the same thing about Randall, and I was like, I don't know if it raises the ceiling of like what they are on the floor when he's on there as a group, but I do think that over the course of a 48-minute game, they're worse off not having him, because you're just putting so much on Brunson. He has to create all the time. He's the only one that can create consistently. So, like, he might not raise the ceiling in the way that we traditionally think of raising the ceiling, but he might raise the ceiling just because he raises the floor overall so much. And the bottom wouldn't fall out at times the way it has in this first couple of games offensively. You have more diverse ways of attacking them. Obviously, we know that he's had his playoff struggles. I'm not assuming that would just stop, but even with his playoff struggles, there are benefits to having him on the floor. And I think it's crazy that anybody's denying that.
Yeah. I'd have to. Yeah, I think it's just kind of. I mean, it's a take factory. Given just how insane last night was, we kind of talked about this. We both mentioned the Larry Johnson 4-point play. Where does this rank for you last night? The shot, that end sequence. Where does that rank for you in terms of your favorite moments as a Knicks fan?
I think it's probably second. Yeah, I think the Houston shot definitely is number one.
For the younger fans, this is Allen Houston hitting a runner at the buzzer against our favorite rivals, the Miami Heat, to win as an 8 seed in Game 5, which I'd have to agree with Shwin there. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's just not going to be top. It's a series winner. Like, if DiVincenzo's shot was a series winner, I'd probably say the DiVincenzo's shot. I mean, everything about it is just crazy. Like, the whole sequence, the loose ball, Dante gets it. Jalen Brunson finally hits a fucking three that it doesn't just go in, right? It like bounces, hangs up in the air for like 25 seconds, goes through the hoop. Then they get the steal off the inbounds. He misses the first
Disney
three.
Shit.
Yeah, he misses the first three. Hartenstein, he does the free willy thing, finds OG. Like, it's just the entire sequence is crazy. The Garden is absolutely rocking. You got John Starks and Spree and Melo going fucking crazy on the baseline.
Double bang from Mike Breen.
Yeah, double bang from Mike Breen. It's just it's an all-time sequence, and it's just, you're never going to not remember that. You're always going to remember that. You just will, because it's such a special play. It's amazing. It is the best play since the Houston one to me, and that includes the Larry Johnson shot, which is kind of wild to me, because it's kind of like, that was my play kind of growing up, like just the one that I always thought of, in terms of being a Knicks fan and what stood out to me and what I remember. But like, yeah, this tops it. And I understand the stakes are higher, right? That was the Eastern Conference Finals, the first round, but this feels like a pretty big. I mean, this feels like a bigger than a first round series. I think that's fair to say. I think this feels bigger than a first round series. This feels big for the franchise in a lot of ways. I think, you beat Cleveland last year. It's a cute story. And I know it's weird to talk about the Sixers like an Eastern Conference powerhouse, considering they haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals in this kind
But
of
they've been
in
a
this
very good team for a
right,
long time, and they're a
right.
team that, frankly, Tibbs' first year, that was one of the Philly and Miami were the two teams where it just felt like the Knicks could never get over the hump, right? So
Yeah. And also like they've been considered the better team. They've been considered the superior team with the superior talent, with better GM. Oh, Daryl Morey, like all this stuff, right? And the Knicks have got like they've not they they didn't draft a Joel Embiid. Leon Rose he didn't inherit a Joel Embiid. He had to get his out of the mud here, and yeah, I mean, I just think it's a big series for the Knicks. So in that sense, like if that team had lost to the Pacers, like we're talking about the LJ, like that LJ shot, nobody would have been upset. Like they were super shorthanded by that time. They were the 8th seed. They got like the fact they even were in the Eastern Conference Finals was like incredible. Nobody was going to be upset if they lost that series. I guarantee you that. And I don't know that Knicks fans are going to be. I mean, yes, I think we'll be upset if they lose the series. I don't think I personally would not look at this losing this series and be like, oh my god, what a like epic failure. Can't believe they lost to the Sixers team. The Sixers are good. But that's what makes it more meaningful is like the Sixers are good in a way that the Cavs were not good. Like the Cavs they were a cute story, just like the Knicks were a cute story last year. And ours was just a lot more real than theirs. The Sixers, rightfully or wrongfully, have been seen as contenders or right under that true contender tier for 4 or 5 years now. So for the Knicks to have that sequence, and assuming they go on to win this series, knock on wood. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a huge moment, it's a huge sequence, and it's a huge kind of inflection point for the franchise. Like I do think that winning this series would give the Knicks legitimacy in a way that winning a series last year didn't. It would also be the first time they've won playoff series in consecutive seasons since 2000. So, like, there's a lot at stake here just in terms of changing the narrative and kind of the view of what the New York Knicks are. I think.
yeah, I think that's a good point with Cleveland versus Philly. It's like there are, I mean, they were a first time playoff team. Philly is a team that's been there. Philly has an MVP. Philly has, a coach who's won the championship before. There's these teams, Philly, Miami. Even if they had played Miami, I would feel the same way, even without Jimmy, right? Boston would obviously go up there now, right? The teams that just always seem to be good. It's different, it's like in the NFL, right? It's one thing to beat a team like the Texans or something that's there for the first time, and it's another thing to beat a team like the Bills or the Chiefs or on the other side, back when Rodgers was there, Green Bay, right? If you beat Green Bay, even if you're an upstart team, that gives you a certain level of standing. That beating a newer team or a team that's still young, hasn't been there, just doesn't. And I also think just from a per talent perspective, these are the second and third best teams in the Eastern Conference. I would have probably said I think Philly was the best team until Embiid got hurt after Boston. The Knicks make the OG trade. I think they may be, but these are the second and third best teams. If someone wants to say it, Embiid full strength, that they're better than the Knicks. I think that's the one team where I'd be like, that's kind of fair. I think they're better than Milwaukee. I think they're, even with Giannis, I think they're better than Indiana, obviously better than, even with Mitchell at full strength. Cleveland had that big run, but this is not a 2-7 series in the typical sense. And I think we're gonna get a dogfight back in Philly. And there's so many narratives now and so much drama. Like this is a defining series for this team. And I think the fact, on top of everything else, this team is known now as like the Nova team, right? And they're going to be going back home to face and especially the guy who struggled the first 2 games. You had the one guy who's Villanova, who hit the biggest shot. Another guy had 15 rebounds. The one guy who's going back home and has struggled is Brunson. And it's just this is the stakes, the drama for this series and everything. Yeah, I mean that LJ moment was probably the moment where I went from like someone who watched the Knicks and enjoyed them to like the kind of person who devotes as much time as I do now. And this does top it though, and it was just and it was they got. I mean, it was this team in a moment, right? Things didn't go right. Like they had just gotten punched in the mouth and blown a lead. It looked like it was over. They finally get the shot and it misses. But they had to get it out of the mud. Even then, Hartenstein's falling has to it epitomizes the kind of ethos of this team so much. That's a play I'll always remember, and it was special to watch last night. And it's a special team.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, that's a good place to end it. Stacy, let the people know where they can find you and plug anything that you'd like to plug.
Yeah, you can find me at Stacy Patton 89. I'll plug. Well, definitely read the recaps. I think last night we had Jeff Rasmussen, Frank Barrett do it, and then game one was as always Miranda. But especially I will plug. Actually, despite the fact that he sucks, Shwin had I think one of my favorite pieces of his on Jalen Brunson and just his evolution this year. So kudos, man. It was really good. I actually really enjoyed it. But I'd also say, so that Shwin doesn't have to toot his own horn. You guys should check it out, especially now that we have these 2 days off.
Appreciate it. It would be nice if Jalen Brunson wants to back up the argument that I made for him at some point. I would appreciate it, Jalen, if you're listening. I have nothing to plug personally, so I'll just plug all the work to Strickland. Thanks to everybody that's tuning in with me and Sam and Tyrese on the rundown after the games. Appreciate the super chats that we've been getting in there as well. It's a huge help to us. And again, yeah, check out our merch, man. The Nova York merch line we got is actually really cool. I got my shirts in the mail. They should be coming today. So looking forward to that. We have the meetup for game 3 at Smithfield Hall. That's at 6:30 p.m. and then through the game on Thursday. So if you're free, come through. It should be fun. But yeah, I mean, look, aside from that, I got nothing. So thanks to our sponsor, Bet Online. I hope everybody enjoys these next two pressure-free days, and we come off of one of the great wins in Knicks, at least in recent Knicks history, to enjoy. So enjoy hate watching other teams. Remember to be snooty and dismissive of them on Twitter. That's what it's all about. That is the show for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and I'm not sure when we'll be dropping the pod with Prez. We might have to do that Thursday, but I will. I'll let everybody know because it will just drop and then you'll know. All right, that's our pod for today, and see you soon.